If we get caught by the YouTube bug this time around, I want to brag that it was just that good at playing that riff twice.
Well, you know what? Something we won't get pinged for now is though.
What?
We can say fuck.
We can say fuck?
They changed their policies on that. Yeah. So you say swearing in the first whatever time is not a thing anymore.
Fucking hell. Those goddamn motherfuckers took enough time to get their shit together. Now, is that just any swearing, or is there still like censored words? Because I can think of some very bad words to start off these shows.
Yeah, so like obviously hate speech is a no-go, but as far as I understand, there is no single, just a pure swear. You have to, in order to be demonetized for swearing, it has to be, I think they said, like, continuous or excessive.
I just put our fucking podcast in the goddamn ringer, my bad. Welcome everybody to the Schmoes Show, the only show on the internet endorsed by the ghost of Ozzy Osbourne, R.I.P. It's been a rough week for your infamous Orion, who's a schmo speaking at the moment.
I'm Cairo, and I'm also a schmo. And it has been. It's been, I don't know, bittersweet. I really appreciated and enjoyed seeing the sort of like borderline celebrations that they were having at the funeral parade kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's extremely tragic for his family, of course, but I have to hope that there being so much just outpouring of support and recognition of his achievements in his life that it, I hope, helps them to remember, all the good that he did.
I'll kind of bring this up. Ozzy Osbourne's death kind of not only took me by surprise because like it was out of nowhere, but like the community response to it, a lot of like the response to like the celebration of life we've been in for like the last 2 weeks over Ozzy's death, very by surprise. I thought we were all jaded and cynical to the point where like people would try to cancel Ozzy for all the batshit insane shit he used to do. But to be fair, not many of those people were out there, and they're probably Russian trolls to be exact.
Yeah.
So it made me happy, because I don't think there's many people out there in this world that could be like Ozzy nowadays, like a working class bloke who actually went out and did something with his life. Mainly because classism is very much rampant nowadays.
It really is. Man, I was actually thinking about that from a really weird perspective. There was a person I was talking to in another Discord about food stuff, and they picked up, just on a whim, sweet and spicy Spam that was at their store. And it was really fascinating seeing the mix of responses to people to them doing that, where it's just like, it's Spam. It's fine. It has such a weird reputation because it's cheap, right? It's a poor person's food, so it must be bad. It's fascinating.
It reminds me of that video of Jamie Oliver criticizing chicken nuggets.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, like, and I'm going back to the Ozzy thing for a moment. I don't know how many other people we would necessarily like praise, like on the level of Ozzy, who are necessarily like college dropouts, drug addict, losers, by any other measure of the standard. But just because he fucking played on Crazy Train, we all fucking go apeshit for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's more nuanced than that, but like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if we'll ever see like another Ozzy in this kind of climate.
In a way, I do wonder if the availability and popularity of the kinds of drugs that we have now is going to be a factor in that. Because that was such a massive cultural element that doesn't exist in the same way anymore.
I mean, now you can just buy drugs from a pharmacy if you know the right, or let's say wrong people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you don't know the right people, you're stuck buying garbage oftentimes, or very dangerous things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of interesting because I think, like, I know we like to joke that celebrities used to be way more into coke in the 80s and 70s and all that.
Yeah.
And like we're supposed to pretend like it stopped in the 90s all of a sudden. I don't believe that at all. I still think there's like the same amount of like high level drug users. They're just better at hiding it now because, well, drugs became more professional.
I completely agree. And the kinds of drugs that are the drugs of choice, right, are different than they were. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, let's go do coke and have some heroin if you're really getting kind of dangerous with it. It's like weird health stuff where you have the rich people flying overseas to do treatments and buy drugs that would be illegal in the US. It's very different dynamics.
It is, though. It's fascinating, really, because drugs in themselves have become a classist institution.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in a way, they always have been, right? That was where the war on drugs came from, was that they were being used so disproportionately by minorities and poorer people. And that was an easy way to target those people, to get them off the street, to arrest them or criminalize them for people who are particularly marijuana, right? And that has turned around dramatically in recent years. But the same concept applies to other harder drugs.
Yeah. No, I guess that's a good point, too. Harder drugs and the profile in which you're most likely to be stigmatized for using them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I say this as a fully functional caffeine addict.
I have been really trying to kick that myself. Yeah.
No, I need it. Like, call yourself an addict and immediately say I need it. The irony is not lost. I'm not. The irony is not lost on me. I got into caffeine because I kind of need it, like, mentally to function. Just from like my own clinical problems. Caffeine's a good, like, more natural thing than a pill. So that's where
I totally agree.
Yeah. I think if we got coffee culture bigger in America and like actual good coffee instead of like the Starbucks milkshake shit, we would have a lot happier people.
It's an interesting thing to think on,
isn't it?
Not sure where I land, but I think I definitely appreciate the social atmosphere of a real, quote unquote, real coffee shop compared to, fast food, more or less.
That's what Starbucks is, though. It is fast food at the end of the day. Yeah.
That food is just coffee, more or less.
Yeah. Well, like, so as a coffee connoisseur, may I be pretentious for a few minutes?
Go for it.
Like, Starbucks, you have many people of many different backgrounds and classes of education in Starbucks. Like the young, mainly to like your people in their 30s. That's like the oldest I've ever seen someone working at a Starbucks. So like you have to make your recipes around people who might not be more attentive to detail for coffee. So I've noticed a lot of their recipes are designed so that they're almost impossible to fuck up. I've made some coffee that I fucked up and I've paid the consequences for it. But at Starbucks, they give you like the strongest bean possible, not because like it's gonna make a good coffee necessarily, but because like you can brew that really fucking fast and easy, like, get it off the counter for one, but also that like you can just punch it in, put in a timer, and you're done. You know what I mean? Whereas like
absolutely. And the same way that all of their, flavorings and additives are in pumps, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You just say the number of pumps of a thing that you need, and if somebody wants extra things, you just do an extra one of those pumps rather than having to measure something.
Exactly. Like in coffee, there's like this thing called the golden ratio that you want of like water to coffee grounds.
Yep. Yeah.
You don't see that shit at Starbucks. You get kind of get one shot of espresso, two shots, two pumps, three pumps.
Right.
Yeah.
Did I tell you about it's ongoing right now, the Coffee with Surge YouTube series?
No, but please go on.
I think you'd enjoy it. The YouTube comedy troupe, I guess you could call them, Loading Ready Run. One of their people is a big coffee guy, and he did a series that was called Coffee with Surge a couple of years, and they've started doing it again in a new season, and it's been really fascinating and entertaining to see. So yeah, this one was the first episode they had with the Japanese coffee siphon.
Yo, I was just about to get one for you because as a chemist, I think you would love a coffee siphon.
I think they're really cool.
They are so cool.
Know if I would ever use it, but it is really neat. And in a later one, they do like brew method. They call it a brew method showdown, where they have a whole bunch of different brewing methods, from stuff like coffee siphon to more traditional brewing methods, and they cook them all with the same amount of coffee with that brewing method to taste how the way that you cook it changes how it tastes. And it's just cool stuff like that. There's all sorts of little neat things.
Oh, dude. So I'm a nerd for that kind of stuff. I had this thing called a vacuum pot, which is basically similar to the siphon. You get your water, you get your coffee grounds, you let them brew on the top of the pot, then you press a button for a vacuum to come take out the water.
Yeah.
It didn't last long because, believe it or not, when you have something electronic like that and a whole bunch of water, can you believe it? Those things kind of break easy.
Yeah. I do. I'll be honest, of all the stuff that I've seen them do, the coffee brewing method that interested me most was something called a bripe.
A bripe?
A brew pipe.
Brew pipe, okay.
And it is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's like an old school pipe looking thing that you heat up with like just some fire, and you have your coffee in it, but it has like a particular metal filter built into it to catch the coffee grounds, and some particular geometry to change like how the heat gets applied. Yeah. And then you just drink the coffee out of the pipe.
That's kind of cool. I'm not gonna.
It's neat.
Yeah. Damn. I'm looking at it right now, and it's so wonky. It's like a Dr. Seuss coffee mug.
Right?
Yeah. That's so cool. I'm a French press guy myself. It's like my favorite personal method.
I have not gotten to the point of making my own coffee yet, just because I don't drink it enough. But there is a particular coffee shop that I'm not going to name because it's a block and a half away from where I work, that is like an actual coffee shop that is really, really good. So I go there and I get mochas.
We have a couple here in GR that I'm really proud of. So there's this one in Byron Center. It's called Full Circle Coffee. It's really nice. Very fast. Usually it's not that busy either, which is one of my favorite things. Overall, they even give you like some board games to play with while you wait for your stuff. Badass all the way. People do D&D.
Very nice. That's cool.
On top of that, we have The Stray, which is my personal favorite. It's an art cafe on top of a fucking venue for music, as well as a coffee house. Now, have you ever heard of a Pure Over?
No.
I just posted it in the chat. It's like a mug that siphons into a larger mug.
Weird.
It is really weird, and I want it.
Yeah. I do think that that's an element of the coffee culture stuff that I am equally fascinated by, is that I do just like cool technology, like things that mechanically operate in a unique way. And the coffee people seem to have all the cool toys.
Dude, there's a whole convention of like people like who look out for innovations in coffee, and they like fucking, how do I put this? They make an award ceremony out of it. I'll show you this little gizmo I just bought. It's called the Outen Nano Espresso. It's a espresso machine that you can basically put in a backpack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a giant cylinder, kind of looks like a thermos. You would pour water into the top, and you have two options. You can either pour in like normal water or boiling water, and depending on that, the machine will sense the temperature of the water. If it's hot enough, it will just slide it through into the grounds in the capture chamber on the bottom there. However, if not, the machine will heat it up itself and then pour it over your grounds for you.
I just looked it up, and credit to it, because so much of this stuff is really cool but ridiculously expensive. $150 is not at all as bad as I was expecting this to be.
I got one from work for free.
Nice. Even better.
I know. That being said, hashtag not sponsored. Although we will gladly take sponsorships.
Yeah, if you want to, we'll gladly take your money.
We will gladly take your money. That goes out to you too, Republican Party. Where were we before we got on the coffee kick?
I honestly don't know.
Drugs?
But drugs, sure. Why not? Drugs are cool.
Drugs
be
are
like
cool.
Ozzy Osbourne. Go do drugs.
Yeah, be like Ozzy. Be like, what, 77? That's not a bad age for being on drugs.
Yes, but he had a lot of help.
Yeah.
Not having that be a smaller number.
Okay, scratch that. Get generational wealth first, and then do all the drugs.
Drugs, generational wealth, get off drugs, happy life, and good family.
Good point.
In that
Good
order.
point. Yeah. It always chokes me up hearing the story of how he and his wife met.
I don't think I know this.
So, Ozzy was in Black Sabbath, famously.
Yeah.
Ozzy became a bit of a fuck up in Black Sabbath, so much so that their manager and the band team up and kick Ozzy out of the band and like pay him out of his share.
Mm-hmm.
Ozzy famously decides he's basically going to party until he dies. Now,
sure.
What he doesn't know is that his former manager's daughter wants him to get in the game, and her big project to get into the music industry is to revitalize Ozzy as a solo artist. She comes into like one of his houses after a big party and whatnot, and finds him dying there on the floor, basically. And she not only just kind of brings the man back to life from his drugs and get him clean, but she also got him to fucking make Crazy Train, you know?
Yeah. Hard to understate the cultural significance.
I'm sorry, my headphones just ripped out of my head because I'm a fool that likes to talk with his hands. What'd you say?
I said hard to understate the cultural significance.
It really is, though.
Yeah.
They play that shit at the fucking Super Bowl.
Right? Well, they play it all the damn time.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're going to ease off on that now. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Probably not. But
Ozzy's great-grandchildren need a college education. What the hell are you doing? Don't stop playing it. You ever find it weird that that's like one of the hallmarks of heavy metal, the big satanic genre, but it's like one of those hippie peace-loving songs?
Mm-hmm.
It's weird.
I mean, it kind of makes sense, though, right? Because the counterculture core of both movements are very much shared.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
It's the same way that you get like the biker gang types that do school fundraiser drives, right?
Yeah. What we're saying is the mainstream culture is the real villain.
Yeah.
So, do you have any actual like hashtag real news?
Yeah, I think it's good to talk about the real villains because we've got some really gross stuff going on that I wanted to just make. There's not a ton of news to go through, and we're going to have lots of movie things to talk about that'll take up most of our time. But this is more of sometimes foreshadowing.
Go on.
Reporting this week from Apollo Academy that I was reading about some summaries of. where historically we have multiple tools to measure inflation. One of those is the CPI, I believe it's Consumer Price Index, and it is one of the ways that we're able to measure inflation by taking a snapshot at periods of time of tens of thousands of prices of hundreds of different commodities, products that are for sale. It's a little bit self-explanatory in that regard, but the way that it works in practice is that there's a lot of things that you can't figure out. So they basically have to guess sometimes, or use other parts of the CPI calculation to sort of work backwards based on trends. So if you know that coffee, just as a complete out of my ass example, if you know coffee has trended one way for a really long time and you can't get your numbers for tea because of some international conflict that is happening right now, or just the reporting doesn't come through from certain companies, coffee and tea are related in a certain way sales wise, you can guess where tea is based on how coffee. Historically, that makes up between 5 to 10% of this calculation. The last time it peaked was during COVID, where it went up to a whopping 15% for obvious supply chain interruption reasons.
Yeah.
Since Trump's term has started, the percentage of the CPI that is used by this alternate estimation technique has exploded to now over 35%. More than a third of one of the major tools that we use to measure the amount of inflation that we are currently under is an estimate. Basically doesn't exist anymore. The next concerning part from that is then the different ways that they can make these estimates, right? And just this week, we had the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics who was fired over a bad jobs report. This is something that the now former Bureau head, Eric McIntyre, they have no control over. They just report this, right? It's literally the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The labor statistics are what the labor statistics are. But regardless, our good president decided to fire her because he didn't like what the job numbers said, that they were weak after they were revised.
I thought that was a silly joke. I didn't realize that was real.
No, that's real. That happened. And it sends the very obvious message to anybody else to the president, that is, tell me what I like or you're fired. And now we have, in the CPI, a nice 35% margin that estimated in a whole number of different ways. And I wouldn't be surprised to see some, massaging of the numbers to make them more appealing. In particular, because from another reporting, this is in Financial Times, they had a really good graph that went out that was showing the differences between the on paper average inflation number and how the actual inflation number in sales of goods lags behind that. So as an example, since the start of the year, the actual inflation number went from about 2.5% up to about 15% over the summer. And during that period, the actual inflation went from that same 2.5% to now is currently at 8.8% as of June. With the deals that are being made, the actual on the books inflation numbers are continuing to go up. More of these deals, quote unquote, are being made, and we're seeing it trend closer and closer to 20%. And the actual number is still lagging behind it. It's going to take time for things to be imported, for those tariffs to actually be applied to them. And this tends to happen on a quarterly cycle, right? So, when it comes to clothing was a good example that I saw where it's extremely seasonal, where summer clothes were already imported. So we have the summer clothing styles that have been out and are relatively not being impacted by inflation. But now that we're getting into fall, those fall styles and fall clothing weren't in the country until they were being imported in the summer. And they're actually going to start reflecting the increases in prices that these companies are paying to import their materials. So all of this combining together, we're getting really noticeably worse statistics and reporting from the government, which has been something that has been pretty notorious, I guess might be a way to put it, notorious and useful as metrics. And more, it's becoming clear that we either can't or more reasonably probably shouldn't trust these numbers like we used to. And we need to start looking for other numbers to try to understand what's happening in the markets and in the world, and be vigilant for the other places that they might be trying to massage these numbers.
But have you considered, hear me out, right? Maybe we should just not look into those things at the moment, you know? Have you considered it might be a little un-American to care about what the world's market looks like?
I was going to make a joke about the garbage that Trump keeps saying, but I can't even bring myself to say it. Where, isn't it weird? Like, in a really been creepy, but isn't it really fucking creepy that he keeps talking about America as, like, hot and sexy?
It is, because, like, I think he's trying to make us feel good about being American.
Yeah. I absolutely. But it's gross. I don't like it.
I think he's just at that age and at that point in dementia where he can only think of, like, things in a binary, and just his sex-up mind just thinks it's either sexy or it's not worth anything. And, you know, when you're thinking about Jeffrey Epstein all day, I can see why he would go up with the sex appeal. I think the FBI silenced Kyril again.
No, because we haven't said it yet, and there has been a bit of a gap since last time, it is worth, mentioning, as always, that the Epstein information still hasn't been released. So that's good.
Should we just make
it's really not good.
Should we make a little counter for every day that goes by without the Epstein list?
Man, so I guess that's the other thing that probably worth talking about, at least briefly, is how right now there is reporting coming out, or I think it was like a letter that was sent from one of Maxwell's lawyers to the White House, explicitly saying the thing that everybody, where Maxwell is apparently offering to testify to Congress in exchange for a pardon.
Don't do it.
It is really fucked. The obvious part of that being that if Trump is in the Epstein files, which we know he is, definitively, we've had that confirmed at this point, but regardless of what is said about them, why would Maxwell, they're cutting a deal, and you're not going to, go back on that deal later or talk bad about the person who gave you that deal, especially when the guy's literally. So yeah, it's really gross. It's pretty fucked. Yeah, the reporting that was coming out was that back in, I want to say April, May, they had literally 1,000+ FBI agents going through the entirety of all of the files that the DOJ has, which is ended up being hundreds of thousands of man hours. It was something like 2 weeks of constant work from this 1,000+ person team, just going through all of them and redacting Trump's name from the files because they claimed that he was a private citizen. So
it's Trump not been a public figure.
Yeah. Oh, and the fact that it seems like a very obvious part of it where people are accusing him of criminal activity, criminal behavior in those files.
Yeah.
That his criminal liability is shown in those. So if you just redact his name from them, it doesn't matter if he's a private figure or not. He's alleged to be criminally related to them. Though it is kind of interesting how it doesn't get us to any kind of answer that we want, right? Civil cases don't result in jail time, but civil cases are allowed to assume adverse inference, where in the cases of like someone pleading the Fifth Amendment and refusing to answer a question, in a criminal case, you can't draw anything from that because they refuse to answer the question. In a civil case, you're allowed to assume the worst of that, what that answer could be. So just because the name is redacted or Trump refuses to testify, like we saw with the case where he was sued over alleged rape in a civil case, he pled the Fifth like 100 some times in those depositions, and he's been taken to task for tens of millions of dollars.
Damn, why would Hillary do this to him?
Yeah, and that's the other part of it, is that the DOJ is trying to make these claims of, oh, well, we can't do it because of political whatever bullshit. And it's just like, but you did it to Hillary. What are you talking about? You made a whole bunch of fucking noise about how you did it to Hillary. I'm proud of it. Just blatant, gross double standards.
Damn. And here I thought we were going to have a fantastic time today.
Unfortunately, only bad times.
Only bad times. No,
this week we had
2016.
The Bad Guys too.
Oh, you're so funny.
To no one's surprise, it's doing very well. I'll say I was a little bit surprised at how well the first one did.
You think so?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, to be clear, but I was really not impressed by the marketing and advertisement that I saw around it. But it clearly has, it's doing something right, and it has very much found its audience.
It doesn't inspire confidence in me as a franchise.
Yeah. So, Bad Guys 2, 85% critics, 95% audiences on Rotten Tomatoes. Pretty overwhelmingly positive. The critic reviews are a little bit mixed, but very overwhelmingly positive, and even when it's not, perfect, still fun.
Yes.
We also have Bambi: The Reckoning.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
Yeah, I will say, shockingly, it's not doing awful. It's at a 67% from critics and a 69% from audiences, albeit with very few reviews for either. Yeah, it's compared to the way that most of these go, it's apparently it's not the worst.
Better than Popeye the Slayer, man?
Apparently.
Damn.
Getting to the real meat, though. The Fantastic Four.
Finally, some good fucking food. Honestly, that's what I would have called this movie if I was Kevin Feige.
Good food?
Finally, some good fucking food. I mean, like, dude, in the beginning, when they show them making that pasta, did you not want some of that pasta?
No, of course.
Yeah, it looked really fucking good. Best Marvel movie in a while.
I would definitely agree with that, though the bar is a bit low.
It is a bit low. I do have one major complaint. This is the safest Marvel movie in a while.
Yeah.
This movie is genetically engineered to be as likable as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of the like not like behind the scenes necessarily, so to speak, but some of the little bit of the behind the scenes talk about uh, what was going on in the pre-production because this has obviously taken a while for it to get to this point, and it was supposed to be last Christmas, right? So it's been delayed.
Yeah.
Um, One of the things that was apparently changed very early on was that Pedro Pascal wanted to do a super like 50s, 60s North Atlantic news person kind of accent, and they shut him down on that.
I need to hear it before I have any opinions on that.
Yes, but I think they should have still done it because it would have been, if nothing else, funny.
It would have been very funny to see that voice come out of Pedro Pascal of all people.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I'll say it right here.
He did it a little bit. Credit to how they did. It wasn't just Pedro Pascal being Pedro Pascal. I would have liked a little more, though. I think it would have been fun.
This movie is very symbolized by the fact that Pedro Pascal is in it.
Mm.
It's a very safe product. And, you know, it kind of breaks my heart a little bit because everything I've learned about the production of this movie tells me this was going to be good no matter what. But they were so scared of it doing well, they've kind of sanitized it from the point of being like a great movie to a really good movie, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I had a number of very particular complaints with it. And for me, just to like get to the real point of it, for me, Superman was my preferred of the two.
You know, I'm 50-50 on it because I agree. I think if I wasn't attached to the Fantastic Four like I am, Superman would blow this movie out of the water, right?
Yeah, I don't even necessarily think it blows it out of the water. They're both very good. But for me, Fantastic Four had four specific aspects to it that I thought the Superman movie, like four specific aspects that I thought it failed in, and that the Superman movie didn't have any single thing that I could point to and be like, okay, yeah, that's wrong. Should have done it.
Yeah. I'm kind of on the opinion, like, this is holy shit, two cakes kind of moment. Where I'm just glad we have two good movies in theaters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because, like,
that is a really good takeaway, because like that was the talk, right? Was which one's going to win? And it seems pretty obvious that neither is going to explicitly win. They're both just really good movies that are out at the same time.
In a different world, this would have been a Barbenheimer situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if they'd just been like a week closer together.
Yeah. I think if we weren't in the DC versus Marvel kind of like space race that we've always been in, there was a really good opportunity to make a double feature out of this. And
definitely.
They fucked themselves out of it.
Especially given that I know they want to make the Fantastic Four stuff be more tied into the main Marvel cinematic universe. They're clearly leading on to that. But I think that because this was more standalone from other Marvel stuff that we've seen recently, this would have been a good opportunity to, you know, extend the olive branch a little bit, so to speak, to have friendly competition to the point of shared success rather than shying away from it.
Yeah, like these two movies, they are more similar than they are different, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're both over these titanic, like before the MCU even existed. Superman and the Fantastic Four were some of the biggest comic book properties of all time, youngins. And to see these reboots finally get them right. I'm not saying that Christopher Reeves never got it right, but like this is like our first time in the 21st century getting these characters right. I think it's a cultural landmark, you know? I think it's kind of like a shift in the water.
Yeah. Turns out these people who were making these massively books for decades actually knew what the hell they were doing. Who would have guessed?
Believe it or not, you put likable characters on the page without having to make a big 9/11 statement about them.
Yeah. Or turn someone into Jesus.
Oh my god. Johnny Storm was going to die for your sins. What are you talking about? So how do you want to do this? Do you want to do like a plot by plot and we can go by our complaints as we go through the plot? Or would you like to just address your complaints outright?
No, let's go through the plot sort of beat by beat, and then I'll go through my stuff because not all of it is like particularly scene by scene complaints.
Yeah. I think
more structural than that.
Can we just start with the cast for this?
Sure.
I think this is better casting than Superman.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I would say that this movie has it a lot easier, though, where they really only have 6 people that they need to get right, and 3 of those people are under heavy makeup or CG. Whereas Superman has many more people that need to be cast, and then they have to be people who are actually, doing the acting themselves. So I don't think that's wrong, but I'm not sure if it's the fairest comparison.
Good point. I agree with that. Ironically, this movie goes to fucking space and back, but it still has a smaller scale than Superman.
Interesting. In what way would you say that?
I feel that this is more insular to the world of the Fantastic Four in general. Mm-hmm. Everything in this movie kind of revolves around them. Whereas Superman being kind of like this movie that has to establish a whole universe on top of it, you have like all these allusions to, the Justice Gang. You have Krypton as a concept being introduced as well as a setting that we don't see on camera, but we have to acknowledge it plays a part in the lore. The Supergirl cameo at the end implies a lot on top of it. You have to settle like who is Clark. You have to set up Mom and Pa Kent out in Smallville. So even though you have all this massive stuff going on in Metropolis, you still have to have like this little auxiliary world and all these offshoots off the main branch themselves.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah. So the movie begins, and I really enjoy the little Tonight Show talk show thing that they do to introduce the Fantastic Four. I think that's very of the time and very sweet. This is Earth 828. Yeah. And the Fantastic Four are the only superheroes here, which is kind of refreshing considering like every Marvel movie, you kind of always have to wonder where the fuck is Iron Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he's not on screen, you should be asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're basically this world's Avengers. And that
the thing is that they're way more than that, right?
Yeah.
These are not just this is like the Avengers in the second Iron Man movie. Stark made his little robot army to secure the world, and that just worked. And then there is no movie. Yeah. The Fantastic Four come in, they get turned into super people, and then they solve global violence. Like, it is explicitly a utopia now because of them. And they are beloved because of that.
Honestly, like, this is like... It's kind of refreshing to see, like, a world where the Fantastic Four are revered. Because it very much is against how we felt about them in the main world. Like, in our world, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. Fuck. Everything kicks off plot-wise when the Silver Surfer shows up for no good goddamn reason. Well, actually, no.
Yeah.
The movie starts off with, like, this nice cold open. It's the coldest fucking open I've ever seen in a Marvel movie. Where Sue and Reed discover that they're going to have a baby. And I believe the chemistry between Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby right there.
I agree. Their chemistry was really, really good. They sold it completely, and they didn't really have any failings. Vanessa Kirby, especially. I'd heard this going that I had seen talking about how this is an Invisible Woman, a Susan Storm movie, as much as it is a movie. And while I don't agree with it to the extent that the reviewer I saw mention it in that context did, I totally see where they come from. where that idea can come from. And there was a number of scenes where she is just really clearly fitting into this role extremely well.
She is by far, she was my main takeaway of, if this movie had a main character, it's going to default to her before it defaults to the other three. Mm-hmm. But I agree, it's not so much a Susan Storm movie. I think this movie actually does really fucking well at dividing the main plot between the four. Like, I think in the hands of a lesser writer, it would go to Reed, because Reed is unfairly categorized as leader in like the fucking other movies.
Yeah.
Or like, maybe if you got a cheeky writer, they maybe go the Johnny route because he's the charismatic one.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely wouldn't get like a Ben Grimm movie or anything like that. So like,
right.
To show as much restraint as they did to give this, like, all four of them a thing to do in this movie, I enjoyed a lot.
They all have their own story.
Yeah. Maybe Ben doesn't get as much of a movie plot as he deserves, but at the same time, this is already, I get the feeling it was kind of cut out with all the deleted scenes we know were here.
Yeah. The Fantastic Four as a concept do really struggle in a way that a lot of other superhero stuff doesn't, in that because they are four people and they have to share a book that is the same length that as Superman would have, you don't get as much time every issue to be with them as individuals.
Yes.
So someone like, basically everybody who's not Reed Richards, right, ends up getting the short end of that stick more.
I think it's much easier to write a plot around Reed Richards, which is why he gets unfairly categorized as the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Silver Surfer shows up and it says, y'all are going to get eaten like a bowl of Reese's Puffs. And
Reese's Puffs.
Yeah, peanut butter chocolate flavor. And basically we get this introduction of a very nice plot. I think this is the best Johnny Storm plot I've ever seen, in period, of like this will they won't they kind of alien fuck relationship he wants with the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, it's cute.
It's cute, yeah. Like, I think it makes sense. Like, they put it very bluntly in this movie. Johnny likes space, Johnny likes women, space woman, Johnny's gonna love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And kudos to this movie. Everything between the Silver Surfer and Johnny is fantastic. It's probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, because they didn't make Johnny a brain dead idiot or like some horny, skirt chaser.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in the end, he doesn't they don't hook up or anything, right?
Yeah. In fact, I think it's really cool because a lot of Johnny's fascination with the Surfer isn't just that horny aspect, but it's like a genuine scientific curiosity.
Yeah. I appreciate that about the Fantastic Four, having not known much about them, but having them in here and knowing just from hearing people talk about it that this is a much more accurate representation of them. Yeah. I do enjoy that more science first perspective that it presents, because that's something that you get a little, but has been mostly missing, where it's been the perspective of Iron Man's superpower is that he is smart, as if that's something that you can't attain. And I found the way that they presented that same idea, where, Reed Richards' superpower is that he's really fucking smart, to be much more aspirational. Somebody could be like, I'd like to be like that.
Yeah. I think what they really did well to prevent Reed from turning into another Tony is they kind of set their skill sets very differently in terms of intelligence. Reed is definitely a scientist. Tony's more of an engineer. Where Reed is always trying to understand things, whereas Tony's like, okay, I have a problem. I need to build something to fix my problem.
Yeah.
I think, spoiler alert for further in the movie, when they want to get rid of Galactus, right? Reed is saying, I need to teleport the planet away from Galactus. Which is kind of a stupid move, Reed, because what if you teleport it somewhere without a sun?
Yeah. To be fair, he apparently did have a very specific spot that he had in mind.
Yeah.
But I do agree. And I'll get into it later, but that was one of my very particular complaints that I did have with it.
Whereas Tony would be like, how do I build an Iron Man suit to kick Galactus's ass?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the early portion of this movie is setting up that space adventure to go find the Surfer, find out what the hell a Galactus is, and, well, just spending time learning about having a baby. A very cool introduction to this movie that's never been in the previous ones is having Herbie from the comics in here.
Mm-hmm.
And Herbie is a good robot.
Herbie was good.
Herbie
good addition.
Belongs in the pantheon of movie robots like fucking C-3PO and R2-D2. Charming little guy.
Mm-hmm.
I love his little tape deck face.
Yes, I really enjoyed that. The idea that you could just like replace his programming by putting the new tape in. Excellent. That was the thing throughout the whole thing that I think they really was the aesthetics of it were very, very good.
It was so good. Like a good merging of like futurism and retro technology. Because like if you've lived long enough, you know you have enough attention to technology, you understand what the technology is you're looking at, but you don't know how it's evolved from like what we know it as on our side. Because like tape shouldn't make a robot function, but here it is making a robot function.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To a degree, though, but it is also based in reality. Tape is obviously was used to store music very broadly, but is still used as data storage today. So the idea that you have data on, like, the code is on the tape makes some sense.
Yeah. I just don't think there'd be enough like tape for all the coding.
Well, yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? Where you either have a massive tape or you have to make it extremely brittle, or you have to figure out some way to actually like have it be read. Yes.
I just have to believe Reed made a coding language so dense that it can just compress information incredibly well. Yeah. So then the movie becomes Interstellar, which is, I can dig that.
Yeah, that was very good.
Yeah, they go to space, they find Galactus, we find out he's fucking huge and comic book accurate, which is great. Not a cloud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good visuals. The tone of it is also really good. It's kind of refreshing to have, coming from a Marvel movie, this idea of just like, let's go talk to the guy rather than just try to go beat the shit out of him right away.
I took it as, like, again, it's that Reed Richards Fantastic Four scientific approach. Let's go learn about it, talk to him, see what we can do.
Well, and it also fits in with their, utopia on Earth kind of thing, where they don't want to fight something if they don't have to. They don't want there to be more violence. But if they need to, they'll do what they have to do. They just they want to, if there's a way that they can figure it out otherwise, they would figure it out otherwise.
Exactly. In which case, Galactus says, yum, 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 I want that baby.
Give me the baby.
Give me the baby. He's gonna Rumpelstiltskin your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not see that coming. As a comic book fan, I know who Franklin Richards is. It did not occur to me they were going to do Galactus and Franklin like that. I like that.
Yeah, I was. I don't know if I was necessarily surprised, but I definitely wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, it's a trolley problem at the end of the day.
The biggest trolley problem.
And then, in which case, there's this amazing chase scene between the ship and the Silver Surfer, which I was kind of scared of the Silver Surfer. They're fucking surfing on a black hole. Tell me that's not the most rad shit ever.
It is pretty cool.
It is the coolest fucking shit. In which case, the movie even says louder. You ever see Interstellar?
I will say, though, this is the part where it was immediately apparent to me how my big structural problem with this movie is that it sucks at telling you how long a period of time has been.
Yes. Yes, that is a big
It
complaint
is
for me as well.
so fucking bad because when they kick Silver Surfer's ass into the black hole, they're like, "Oh, that'll buy us a month or whatever before she can get out." And then it just cuts to like scene to scene to scene, and it's like, "Okay, wait, did it take them a month to get out of the black hole, or is like what the hell?"
I don't get it. Like,
Yeah, it's not conveyed well, and my big critique of it is that they had a really convenient way of talking about that information and showing that in a way that would be immediately able to be understood. And they I thought they were going to do it because they were talking about Halloween. They had that Halloween scene, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought they were going to start using the major to help convey the passage of time that's happening, right? You have 4th of July, Labor Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and by having the whole family thing would give you an excuse to talk about the things that families do. And then they just didn't do that.
I want to believe that's probably in the deleted scene somewhere. Because there's no way that's just a coincidence.
Yeah. Something is, it's just not there.
Yeah. The Fantastic Four have their baby while running away from the Silver Surfer. That scene where she almost goes into Sue's belly really fucking disturbed me.
Yeah, that was kind of fucked.
Dude, that's scary.
Because it immediately begs the question of what are you gonna do if that works? What is the plan there? And if it works, that's gonna be fucking awful.
It's just let's just call spade a spade.
Not awful, horrific.
She
that is explicitly a threat to rip the child out of Sue's body.
Yeah, and this is a baby with as Galactus put it, the power cosmic, and that's if you're a Marvel nerd like me, that's a big deal. That's a really big scary deal. So you're going to make this baby trigger a survival instinct immediately. What do you think is going to happen?
I will say, but I have a point later on, but that is, as someone who is not a comic person, I feel like a lot of that aspect of it was lost in translation.
To be fair, the power cosmic is a very vague thing, even in the comics. Mm-hmm. It's basically used as an excuse to say Doctor Strange can't fight this thing.
Yeah.
Or things with the power cosmic can only attack things that are with the power cosmic. They're kind of on equal footing.
Right.
Yeah. So they land back home and everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's a baby." In which case, do you think Yvonne got a little jealous watching this movie, seeing the Fantastic Four not only bring in a baby, have a happy family, but also have a successful rocket launch and landing?
On the first try. Probably not. I would like that, but probably not.
You think he was watching this in theaters wow, this is really fucking woke?
Oh no, he's not nearly self-aware of that. Because this is the same people who are well, okay, maybe that it will. Superman was woke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So funny to me. Yeah, but then Reed gives the worst press conference after landing. What was his goal there? He basically said,
it doesn't make sense.
He says, "We're fucked, and Galactus wants to eat my baby. If he eats my baby, we're no longer fucked." What was he expecting?
Yeah, though I do think it was very in character.
Yeah.
He's obviously extremely analytical, and he's just reporting the information as he genuinely understands it. And he doesn't understand what the wider reaction is going to be to it.
I mean, to be fair, his best friend is made out of rocks. So if they tried pulling some funny shit, I guess come on then. What are you going to do?
Good luck.
Yeah. this man can stretch himself to like cover the elevator real fucking fast.
My wife literally makes force fields. What the fuck are you gonna do?
Okay. Almost forgot this. Sue is fucking broken in this movie.
Yeah, that is something that I was gonna talk about at the end, because I kind of hate it.
You kind of... Okay, we'll get to that eventually then.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about too. And I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
I can see that upsetting people. And it's
Yeah.
They go in, they pretty much... And this is one of those things where it's really weird about how time moves in this movie. Because they kind of like sit in this purgatory for a little bit with the public being pissed at them because they won't give up their baby.
Yeah, while they try to figure out anything.
Yeah, and it's kind of implied that a lot of time has moved on before we get to the next beat, but you don't necessarily feel that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and then the ultimate solution to everybody hates a child by some space giant is to just go talk to them and be like, but it's a baby.
You know, I can understand that argument because, like, what kind of world is it if you have to rely on the sacrifice of others just to maintain? You know? Absolutely.
Yeah. It is also, though, a really obvious example of how this is a fictional world. Like, zero fucking chance that would actually work.
Yeah. I wanted to believe it as a symbol of just how optimistic and utopian all these people are. That kind of shit would work on them. Yeah.
And then we also get the same, you know, utopia reminder in what they're, which is to teleport the Earth somewhere else. I think they said something like, so it'd be like tens of thousands of years before Galactus can get to them again. So just really far away. Yeah, that's their plan. Is they've been teasing it throughout, where Reed has been working on all this, like, little teleporter thing that can teleport an egg, but when it does it, it browns out all New York. So their plan is to make those teleporters big and literally everywhere on Earth, and they're going to teleport the whole Earth because the Earth is a big egg.
Okay, when you heard that, did you think this is exactly how they plan to get the Fantastic Four into the MCU?
I honestly hadn't, so I'll say I hadn't at the time. As we were getting ready for this, I did kind of have that thought of, not necessarily for the Fantastic Four because they didn't end up going, but that portal was like, oh, maybe it doesn't just space; it moves you through time or universes as well.
I see your point there. For me, when I heard that, I'm like, oh, something's going to go wrong, and then they get teleported to like the opposite side of the sun in the MCU.
Right.
Yeah. Either way, though, the fucking part that gets me upset a little bit is everybody agrees, let's just teleport the Earth.
Yeah, and I get that they don't really have any other option, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And to be fair, for the people of Earth, I guess maybe it's not the best communicated, but we definitely, where at the point that the Fantastic Four are like, we're not running, for literally everybody else, whichever outcome actually happens doesn't really matter at that point, right?
Yeah.
Either the plan works and there's no problem, or the plan doesn't work, and at that point Galactus isn't Earth. He just wants the fucking baby, and he just eats the baby, and then he leaves, and he's done. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody else in that way.
Dude. So they go through with this plan, and I can only think about how much tax dollars all that cost.
Yep. Yeah.
Because this is all over the fucking world. They build these teleportation relays, and they have to do
hell of a public works project.
Yeah.
I didn't really get that.
I didn't get it. That's not how electricity works.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it kind of makes some sense where this is part of the pacing problem, right? Where they want to have it both ways, where this is both this massive world project, but also they're just building like 20 of these things. They don't seem that big. So,
it's also just really fucking weird. Like, do they have a battery for all that saved electricity to go to?
Right, where's it going? Or the idea of, like, what are you saving electricity for in that moment? Or are you trying to just reallocate it somehow?
Yeah.
But then they don't show that. I kept expecting to be like, oh, here's all the... And they just didn't have that.
I do want to point out one cute Easter egg since we're talking about the UN stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Latveria?
I did. The lack thereof. Yeah.
The Latveria.
They had the Latveria plaque, but nobody's sitting there.
Cute. It was very cute. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
It was a good way to do it, for sure.
Yeah. It's just like, of course he's such a fucking hater. He doesn't even show up to save the world. That's very in character for him.
Yeah.
Regardless, the Silver Surfer returns. So we know it took at least 1 month.
And not just returns, immediately starts fucking.
Dude, they trashed this planet. As a taxpayer, if I saw the Silver Surfer doing this shit, I'd be fucking pissed. I'd be like, what the hell did that even mean then? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have I been turning off the air conditioning every night for months on end for?
Dude, I didn't get to play fucking Halo online with my fucking friend who's in like California because of the fucking night curfew. God damn it, Reed Richards. Latveria is looking very nice. How much? Okay, here's what I was expecting. It'd be kind of funny, right? The whole world goes dark except for Latveria.
That would have been good.
That would have been such a hater moment.
Yeah.
Regardless, Silver Surfer trashes the whole fucking planet.
Blows up all of their teleporter relay things.
In which case, they do a fight one more time.
Mm-hmm.
In which Johnny's like, "Hey, I decoded your language because I'm comic book accurate Johnny Storm, and people forget I'm smart and I'm a scientist as well."
Yeah, exactly. All these people are extremely smart scientists. I really enjoyed that. That, I thought, was... If that was like the main conflict, would have been a great movie. That sort of like, here's the conflict and here's how we're thing was excellent.
This movie's kind of like an epic in terms of like how much time goes into like the actual conflict. Because I'm guessing it's like at least a year, right? It feels like it should be at least a year.
So I mean, we do get a really useful way of measuring that, because at the start, Sue is like just realizes she's pregnant, right?
You're right. I didn't even think about that.
And and then at the end, we know that Franklin is like a couple months old.
Yeah.
So it is almost like exactly a year from start to finish.
Damn. But yeah, Johnny basically doxes the Silver Surfer, in which case she runs off. Then Galactus shows up, and I fucking love the scene of Galactus landing on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
They decide they're going to take New York to the subterranean Mole Man City. Don't worry about it. It's a comic book movie.
To their credit, though, in the movie, they do a very setting. And I did really the dynamic between Sue Storm and the Mole Man. I don't remember his actual name, but the Mole Man leader. How it's just like they are just buddies now, because she conquered and the people world, and he's just like, yeah, whatever you want, just let me know. Even though he's just ripping the crap out of all of the rest of them, just giving them such grief. It's really excellent.
He's such a fucking hater.
He is. But I don't know if I would call him a hater.
He's a dick.
He is, but he is justified, I think, to a degree, because it's like you have Reed and Johnny, who are just like actual haters of them, and he's just doing it like as a joke to them, and is able to
but yeah, like the fucking Mole Man just lets everybody in, and then we get Galactus landing on the planet. And I find it so fucking funny. He doesn't say a word, but you get all his emotions about how he's just kind of unamused. And he's like, really? They're trying to save this shithole.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
the stare that he gives to the Statue of Liberty.
He's like, really? They're just, this is what they're looking to save.
Yeah.
In which case, we get what may be the best, I think, climax in the MCU in years. Their plan, however, changing to we're going to trap Galactus by sending him in through a portal to teleport him away from the Earth instead of vice versa.
Yeah. I really like that idea.
It feels like that was always the original concept by the writers, but they had to make a plan go wrong moment, you know?
Probably,
put us
yeah.
in a lower state.
But that is the part that is the crux of my what I didn't like about the end of it is that plan I think is really good. I really like the idea of how much it's set up where the Fantastic Four cannot physically stop Galactus. They do not have the power to do that. So they have to figure out some other way to work around the problem and be smarter than Galactus could be to outrun them. And they have that solution, and then that answer fails. So then they're able to figure out another answer. And I really like that. They're being clever. They're working around the problem rather than, just giving up or going to brute force like we see so often in the Marvel movies. And I enjoyed that. But then they completely disregard that entirely. And that's the part that I was really frustrated by, is that Galactus doesn't even really see their plan. He doesn't see the teleporter or whatever. He doesn't know what their plan is. He just Franklin isn't there. Franklin is actually at the Fantastic Four tower still, and he just doesn't step into the teleporter targeting zone.
He just says clever bugs.
Yeah. But as a result of that, they're stuck just trying to rely on raw power to figure out the rest of the problem. And that was where I was like, this kind of sucks now. It doesn't suck, but I feel like it's a stumbling block for it, where it cheapens the clever part of it, where they're forced to resort to just push a guy in whole, more or less.
Yeah. Like, I think it's fun because it's a very, like, last-ditch effort kind of method. That's how I see it, at least. Yeah. I can see how it is a disappointment on a character level, but it's, like, improvised, and that's where I enjoy it.
I suppose.
Time to think.
I don't know. I don't know. I was disappointed, especially when it ends up at the very end. Literally just Sue just on her own, pushing him into the portal, like... Because the problem for me is fundamentally just, why didn't you just do this in the first place?
That's why I wondered. That's like watching it. I was like, I get it that it's putting her life at risk, but you could have solved a lot this faster by doing that in the first place. When he said clever bugs.
Exactly, when he's right there, just boop, done. Problem solved. No city destroyed. Galactus is many thousands of whatever away. Yeah.
Well, we even see, like, it doesn't necessarily work to throw him in the portal because he can just climb out a little bit with, like, a little bit of effort.
Sure.
And it took Johnny's girlfriend blowing up in his face to get him into that portal.
Mm-hmm. That was another part of it that I hadn't really thought about until now, but there is a little bit of ambiguity in terms of what powers does everyone have. Most of that, like, for the Thing, it's pretty obvious. It's made of rock. For Reed Richards, he's smart and he is, stretchy, so there's not too much there, but the various depictions of John to do with his powers, a little bit vague. Like, they showed him removing fire from a burning building, which is really cool, but I had no fucking idea he was something. And then, likewise, Sue Storm's like, what is the limit for powers? It seems that there's not really one. But for the Silver Surfer especially, like, what are their powers? I don't understand. Not necessarily, like, what are their powers? What are they capable of? What are their limits?
Yeah.
I didn't think that was conveyed super well, and maybe that is on purpose a bit to keep them mysterious. But it was, I don't know. Struck me as odd, right? Like, if you can travel literally faster than light and escape from a black hole, why are you doing this shit in the first place? Like, Go kill the Fantastic Four and steal their child, bring it back. The movie's 5 minutes. What's the problem?
A lot of this movie felt like that fat bastard quote from Austin Powers, where he keeps telling like Mini-Me to get in his belly.
Yeah.
Movie ends, much fanfare. Fantastic Four are heroes. Mm-hmm. It feels like the fucking Incredibles. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I actually felt that in more than one way, and I don't know if this was on purpose. Obviously, they're very close.
Yeah,
I think it would be very safe to say that the Incredibles is directly inspired by the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
But the part before the fanfare is that Sue fucking dies.
Oh yeah.
She's just like dead, and they can't revive her until Franklin does powers and just brings her back to life.
The power cosmic, dude. It is a fucking drug.
I didn't like that.
I thought
mostly because it's just
cliche.
What the fuck what is happening? Is that just, I guess that's just something that they can do, but in particular because it so much reminded me of the baby in The Incredibles, where his powers are just kind of everything.
Yeah.
And they go into more details to like what his powers actually are. But in the movie, it's presented as it's just like, it could be anything. He can do anything. And I felt that feeling very strongly. And having it go from something that was being played off as a joke in that presentation to hear it being treated so seriously was weird. Didn't feel right.
I really wish they would have shown more of what Franklin does in this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, absolutely. Show me more to set it up, or don't show me this shit and let Reed be the fucking genius that he is and uses his...
No, you don't understand. He put the baby on her chest because he knew the baby would heal her.
Bring it full circle. The plan failed and we had to resume. So save it at the last minute by having him something that works with his brain.
So hear me out, right? Do you know what Franklin does officially?
No, I have no fucking idea.
So Franklin's MO right here, right, is he basically can rewrite reality.
That's fucking lame.
It is a little fucking lame. Like in the comics, it's kind of cool because like I'm pretty sure I know exactly where they're going by introducing Franklin and then Secret Wars and all this. But, like in the comics, he gets bored and he just makes multiverses for the fun of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like
that makes sense.
This is like him just going like, "Oh, mom dead, mom live now." You know, I rewrote reality there, and then I'm pretty sure that's also how we're going to get to the MCUs through Franklin.
Yeah. As an aside, fuck the Scarlet Witch, right?
Yeah. I really hope those two meet, because that'd be really fucking funny.
I mean, she's a little bit occupied.
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less.
No one's truly dead in comics, my good friend.
No one is truly dead. I mean, right now I think she's technically just like trapped in a super fucked up multiverse. So like,
a multiverse
just open that door. You just open that door.
So we get the post-credit scene, in which case, here's where I was very happy. They were reading The Very Hungry Caterpillar, which I think was kind of funny, considering this is a movie about Galactus.
It's very good.
Yeah, the irony of that is not lost on me.
Yeah.
And then Sue goes to get another book. She comes back, and for some fucking reason, we have Doctor Doom in front of Franklin.
Yeah, like, why the hell is he there? Like, I'm sure they're gonna, like, obviously.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'm pretty sure they're trying to just set up the fact that Franklin's going to heal his face and turn him into Robert Downey Jr.
That would be very funny.
That's why I truly is going to believe. I think it's going to be something along the lines of like Franklin is dreaming of other realities. He dreams of Iron Man. He thinks Iron Man is cool. And then he's like, "Oh, you want a new face? I'm going to turn you into Iron Man."
Okay, I hope it's not that. That would be really dumb.
Wouldn't it be dumb? I am not putting it against him. I think it'd be funny.
No, I really hope that they don't have it be that. explicit. I'm still hoping that just, multiverse, anything's possible shit. This is just like, this is Earth 828 because of the Fantastic Four. Stark Industries never becomes a thing because there's no weapons manufacturing. So Tony Stark's parents never have any of that happen, and Tony Stark, or what would have been Tony Stark, just ends up being completely different.
I see your point there.
But it is still, grand scheme of things, Tony Stark. It's just in this world, because of the way things shake out, Tony Stark becomes Doctor.
Yeah, like kind of like how Doctor Strange went evil Doctor Strange to Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Something like that. That's the only thing that I've been able to think of that I'd be able to be like.
What if Tony's...
I do think, though, it would be really funny if they just don't acknowledge it in any...
What if Tony got adopted by a Latverian couple instead when his parents die in this universe?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Timeline-wise, that would make sense. Fantastic Four is like 50s, 60s. And that's about when Tony's parents were killed. So weapons manufacturing, Tony's parents get killed, Fantastic Four solves world peace, Stark Industries is worth fucking nothing, Tony is now poor and an orphan and gets shipped over there.
Damn. Why would Reed Richards do this? Yo, what if that's the reason why he hates Reed so much on this one? Because he sees the alternate version of what he could have had.
Yeah. Or just like the idea of my family was doing incredibly... Or I could see so many different ways.
Yeah.
There's the really self-centered one of my family was family. There's also the idea of like, if you had just done this sooner, I don't care about the family. But because you waited to do it the way that you did, he ended up getting killed.
Why would Reed do this?
Yeah, how could Mr. Fantastic do this to me?
I don't think he's very Mr. Fantastic after all. I don't know. I am optimistic about Doomsday now. I truly am. However, I am so ready for this shit to go south so fast.
That's the part of me that is still very hesitant, because we've had, for the Marvel series at least, we've had high spots, right? Yeah. We had the Guardians Volume 3 most recently, where everything was kind of like very mediocre, and it's like, oh hey, they do have people who know what they're doing. And they need to have like 2 or 3 of these back to back that aren't really bad. And coming off of the most recent Captain America movie, like that's obviously not going to be one. I wasn't as down on it as a lot of people were, but even still, it was lacking.
What about Thunderbolts?
I haven't seen Thunderbolts, actually. That's a good point. I still need to see that. I meant to see that, and I just completely forgot to. So maybe that one does count as number 2, and we need like at least one more here to really seal it in as a corner that's been turned.
Yeah. I am, again, optimistic. I want to believe they're at a point where they can't fuck around anymore. Because like, I feel like that was a lot of experimentation that we've been going through.
Yeah.
Lately. Yeah.
Well, and especially now I think that is the Superman is going to give, is that Marvel can't rely on DC to shit the bed themselves.
Yeah. They've got a James Gunn.
We had the Suicide Squad, and now we had Superman. Gunn is and
James Gunn's
Marvel has to respect that.
Yeah.
So that was most of my critiques, but I had one more really specific one.
What's up?
I will admit, to start with, I forgot to talk about this during the Superman movie. There's a really brief, particular scene that I fucking loved, and I forgot to talk about it. And that is during the Metropolis evacuation. They have everybody fleeing and taking their stuff, and the old lady walking with her turtle and with its water, and not a single thing else. And I fucking love that. That is like the same thing as like the squirrel scene. That is such a brief, small, but explicit statement from someone like James Gunn as to like, here's our messaging in this movie. Here's what we value. Yeah. And having that so starkly compared to the evacuation Fantastic Four, where it is not ineffective by any means, but only just effective. It is used very functionally to show you the people are evacuating, but you don't ever see the people. You don't ever get a feel for what they're going through, where their mentality is. I'm scared. And having that scene in Superman where it's just like, yeah, these people are grabbing the thing that is most getting the hell out of here, and in James Gunn's mind, the thing that is most important is making sure that your turtle is safe.
You're so biased. I see you.
I am so biased, but this is my goddamn opinion. And the turtle wins. If for nothing else, that is what has Superman win over Fantastic Four for me. Is that James Gunn thought about the turtle, kept the turtle in, and he won me over for it.
I do think there was like... both movies have the heroes saving people, which I'm fine with.
Yes.
But I do feel like it was more emphasized in Superman, whereas in Fantastic Four, it was part of like the opening, and then never really talked as much about it.
I do think that that is fair, where Marvel broadly doesn't need to show where their opinion is. They don't have to have a take on how good their superheroes are, right? Whereas the Superman movie was very to both Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and the Justice League, where it was like, okay, we understand that Superman is not this one, and we want to make it explicit as how this Superman is different.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. So yeah. Very good movie. I'm looking forward to see it again. Same with Superman. I want to see both of these again. I enjoyed my time with them. I could easily see them going into the rotation. That's a curious thing. I'm trying to think what is the last DC superhero movie that was met with this kind of a reception, and I feel like it was probably like the Nolan Batmans.
Yeah, I was thinking about that myself, because as much as like it's a response to Man of Steel, Superman feels like it's a response to the Nolan movies as well.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm gonna try and list of films based on it. Yeah, there we go. I'm just curious to scroll back and like what have we had? I don't count Joker. Aquaman, Shazam, Black Adam doesn't work. We didn't get Batgirl. Okay, the Bat quite good.
Yeah.
Fair play to that one. I think that counts. But yeah, and then there's The Dark Knight Rises. So yeah. I would definitely say that. Fantastic Four, more like Fantastic Boar. I still love that review. That was so stupid, but I love it.
It's such a hate. Can we just let's get that review and then just put Doctor Doom's profile picture over it?
Yeah, it's actually really good.
I give this movie a solid 7.5 out of 10. Superman is probably an 8 out of 10 for me, but this is.
I think that's very fair for me. It's 7 out of 10 versus 8.5 out of 10. I think not probably that combination. I'd probably say 7.5, but I would give Superman a little bit higher.
Superman has fucking Iggy Pop in the soundtrack. Anything that has Iggy Pop is fine with me. And I'll say this, I feel like Superman had more takeaway moments from it, whereas this movie is more of a cohesive package in that sense. Yeah. I keep seeing this line everywhere, and it kind of pisses me off a little bit because it's such a good tagline. Maybe kindness is the new punk rock.
Yeah. That was a fun takeaway from the Superman movie, and I think it really... It's fascinating to see both of them go in such a explicitly positive tone and messaging, where they're not negative, they're not doom and gloom, they're figuring out problems and trying to help people or minimize the harm that their solutions cause.
Yes. I really wish Reed Richards would have looked at the camera and said, maybe being fantastic is the new jazz. That hurt.
Yeah, it's probably good. It's probably good they didn't.
I know that's one of the secret deleted scenes.
I hope so. I really do hope that we get a blooper reel out of this because I guarantee Pedro Pascal is up to some shit.
Oh,
And
totally.
it really helps that big credit to this movie that a lot of movies don't have the luxury of practical effects because of the way that it is done, where there is relatively less action than you might see in another movie, and there's really just the thing in the scene to scene parts that needs to have any substantial CG done to it. You get to have like where they live be a real set and not just a massive green screen all the time.
Ooh, actually, I got a couple thoughts about that. You know what I really enjoyed about this movie? They don't call him the Thing, like, at all.
Yeah!
This is a somber ass movie, and it's not like quippy like other Marvel movies, but I really, as a Ben Grimm fanboy, yes. I appreciate that they didn't call him the fucking Thing.
Yeah. And I like that they kind of acknowledge that, and they
yeah.
How that portrayal is still there in this world because the like animated stuff is still around, and they tease him for it, but they still, they respect him.
Yeah, he's treated like a lot more like a person by everybody, and I love that. Like, I get it. This is a Ben that's been around for a while, so like all the shock is kind of off. But like, I've never enjoyed. As I get older, I don't enjoy calling Ben Grimm the Thing because, like, it's very dehumanizing.
Yeah.
And considering he's a very prominent Jewish character, I do think it's like, I do think it's a part of the messaging, to like point out this what would have been a minority character back then, and give him such a name, but have him also be like the most human character of them all. Kind of just goes to say a lot about preconceived biases.
Mm-hmm.
Also, did you catch the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby cameo?
No, I didn't. Didn't at all.
Yeah, there's a Jack Kirby and Stan Lee cameo where they're working on comics in like one of the shots.
Let me see if I can look this up.
Yeah.
Oh, I see now. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I totally missed that, but that makes a lot of sense.
That, I think, is a lot of fun, especially since it's an alt universe. We can say this is like not our Stan, but a Stan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can totally imagine them, even if in this universe, they make the Fantastic Four stuff because that's the thing that is super popular, but they could also just make the other just wholesale.
Yeah.
As entertainment.
I mean, it's kind of like, what was it? Mike Tyson Mysteries. Celebrities get cartoons all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I did have one other movie for us to very briefly talk about. I saw The Naked Gun.
How was it?
A totally fine way to spend an hour. It's not gonna set the world on fire, I don't think, but it was totally serviceable for what it needed to do. It has some funny moments. I do think its best joke is a running gag that it has throughout it, where they keep just getting more and more coffee handed to them. Okay. So they'll have like a full cup of coffee, they'll take a sip, they'll do a scene transition where they'll like over to their boss's office because they get called over, and it just splashes everywhere because it's still full of coffee. It's very good, and they play into that in a couple of different ways. It's very funny. Ironically, given this is the biggest complaint that I have is pacing, where I kind of get that they were going for a certain tone at parts of it, but it's paced in like a moment to moment kind of way, where it's like cut kind of pacing in a way that doesn't work, I don't feel, with Liam Neeson's delivery.
Okay.
And you could put it, I think they should have cast someone else in that role, and it would have worked a lot better. Neeson's very good. He does very well in this. It just very much feels like a mismatch that they picked because his name is so close to Leslie Nielsen's, and they wanted that joke.
That is actually, I didn't even consider that.
Yeah. But totally enjoyable. This was a fun movie. It's good comedy. It's a pure comedy.
Speaking of pure comedy, you know what movie I saw?
What's that?
Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah.
I want to die. That's all I gotta say. I'm not talking about that movie. That movie is not deserving to be talked about.
You know, we don't talk about streaming movies, especially not new ones, at least not often, unless there's particularly big ones. But I really do feel like we see the sort of like Marvel grading curve get applied to.
You know, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Like, would you like to take a guess what the Rotten Tomatoes reviewer score is for this?
60?
62.
That's close. Without going over.
Yeah. Yeah. You win a new car.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see this kind of we see this kind of stuff a lot with these movies where it's just like they're fine, but because they're fine and people feel like they didn't have to pay for it, they give it a pass, even though they absolutely did pay for it. They just don't realize it.
With our tax dollars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, with their subscription dollars.
I know.
Yeah. Which I guess it's kind of the same thing.
Sometimes I wish America would do something like the BBC, where we can pay for like a license to a streaming service like that out of our taxes.
Yeah. On the other hand, current administration.
Not under this administration. No, thank you.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Something like that doesn't really work unless you have, everyone on board.
Yeah. Anything else for the show today, my sir?
That's the last that I have.
That's the last I had as well, because Happy Gilmore 2 makes me sad. His wife dies from golfing in the first 5 minutes.
That's very quick.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh yeah, I don't golf anymore. Happy? More like crappy. Happy Gilmore? More like crappy Shillmore. That was good. I'm patting myself on the back for that one.